have long blonde hair, big green eyes, world-class breasts, ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way
up. Tremors, a film that in my youth terrified me. In fact, the first time I ever saw it, I can remember, and it terrified the hell out of me. And as I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate just how damn funny the film is, and today it is the film that, no matter what, no matter when I watch it, it can always make me laugh. Now I know, when you saw the title for this video, the first thought that entered your head should have been, "Get a haircut, you hippie!" Well, yeah, I guess. But then your second thought should have been,
Ha ha ha! You should change your name to Welshy.
no, why would I change my name? That's stupid. Especially to that. The only time I'll ever consider changing my name is if Welshy the DJ, the inferior Welshy who none of you have ever heard of, contacts me and attempts to sue me. In which case I'll make a wiki page about him and tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth until he stops talking about me and moves on and does other things. Saddle! I've lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, Tremors. 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 So the first thought that should have entered your head when you saw the title for this video should have been,
how can you review Tremors? It's an awesome movie.
And you're right, it is. It's also one of my favourite movies ever. Don't you know how this show works yet? Look, if I wanted to get under people's skin, I could have said something really controversial like Big Trouble in Little China is absolute shit. That's a lie. Big Trouble in Little China is awesome. I just like pissing Spoonie off and ripping off Sad Panda. Hey, I work with that guy with the glasses. I'm contractually obligated to steal other people's ideas and milk old ideas until they're dead. Now, like I said, I feel no shame in saying that the very first time I saw Tremors, it scared me. Now, don't get me wrong, I laughed at certain moments. But there were other moments that, yeah, frightened me and made me jump.
Oh, Jesus!
Don't look at me like that. I was 8. And there was a time when scared the hell out of me too. But as I got older, I really learned to appreciate just how damn funny the film is. It balances comedy and horror perfectly, and this is due to not only a great script, but also a great cast. Hello?
Hello, this is a British person.
Oh, right. What do you want?
Well, I heard you were reviewing Tremors, and, well, because I reviewed Tremors 3, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a crossover.
You mean like the Halloween 2 review? You know, where I recorded over 20 minutes of footage, and all you used was me screaming. Well?
Well, I'm not used to these fourth wall-breaking conversations.
What fourth wall-breaking conversation?
Well, implying that you recorded footage and then sent it to me. And we're not actually having this conversation at this exact moment. It's just been all edited together. So is the magic of movies.
Dude, I'm not famous. This is already a way too meta conversation for me.
What does meta mean?
I don't know. Have you watched my Scream videos? Available now on thatguywiththeglasses.com. I stated there, I haven't got a clue what it means. Okay, I guess we can do the review. I'm not funny anyway. And I have to... Oh, excuse me. I have to rely on old memes to try and make up for it. I have no idea what kind of mindless drone said that. Okay, start the review.
Hello, I'm a British person, and today I'd like to talk about a good movie. Tremors.
Yeah, now I know you probably want to watch that review. Tough. Inspired by the creature features of the 1950s and 60s, Tremors, as I said before, the non-planned or edited in, which could easily have been edited out phone call, works because of its great script, pitch-perfect performances, and its cast. I honestly believe this is one of the best all-round casts ever assembled for a movie. And yeah, you can disagree with me on that. Feel free to do so. But for this cast, there isn't a dud among them. You like the characters you're supposed to like.
You dumb shit.
And you hate the characters that are complete arseholes because the characters in the movie hate them too.
Hey Melvin, you want to make a buck?
Eat it.
Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward play Val and Earl, handymen living in Perfection Valley and living out their freedom, but they're ultimately bored with their lack of direction in life.
You know how close I am to leaving this place right now?
Bacon and Ward are a huge factor in what makes this film work. They're our main characters, they're likeable, funny, and the two have an incredible on-screen buddy chemistry together. They play off each other brilliantly, and you really get the impression that they've known each other for a long time. Little looks they give each other when ribbing each other, and their constant rock-paper-scissors battles to settle a disagreement just makes every moment they have together really enjoyable to watch.
I know. I'm working up to it.
And throughout the course of their day, we're introduced to most of the supporting cast. College student Rhonda, who's staying in Perfection for the semester and monitors the seismographs that the university have installed throughout the valley, while in the town itself, we meet Melvin, the resident pain in the ass, local shop owner Walter Chang, gun-happy couple Bert and Heather, and later, Nancy, her daughter Mindy, Miguel, and Nesta. Bert really became the breakout character of the series and went on to feature in not only Tremors 2, but then became the main character in Tremors 3, 4, and the TV series. And it's in no small way thanks to Michael Gross this happened, because he's just having a ball with the role.
Bert, cut it out!
I think I scared him.
The first half of the film is almost a horror mystery as the worms are slowly introduced and make their way towards the town, as the direction just teases the audience as to what they are and what they look like. We get little hints about them from their first appearance, which is almost entirely a point of view shot, which shows they move under the ground, and there it's just simple teases before the official reveal about halfway through the movie. The plot is set in motion on the day Val and Earl decide to leave Perfection Valley. Why is it always on the last day? And while leaving the valley, they discover a string of bodies and decide to head back to inform their friends of the situation. While it could be seen as a bit contrived that they end up going back into the town despite discovering all these bodies, I always felt this was a great character beat for them, as they willingly turn back into the danger zone to warn the people they've left behind, because they have no clue about all this. It's in doing this, though, that the worms attack the men working on the road, which causes a rock slide, killing the roadman and effectively sealing the residents of the valley off to the outside world. And this brings me to another point I mentioned earlier about the movie. The script is absolute gold. Little things that are introduced are explained and paid off in a very logical way. Mindy is introduced on a pogo stick, which becomes a factor later on. Val and Earl are seen operating the cat, which comes into play. The fridge, or whatever it is, in Chang's store turns itself on, which becomes a huge game changer later. And even the opening gag that Val plays on Earl has a payoff in the film's climax. The first indication that there's something wrong occurs when Val and Earl, while leaving, happen across their friend Edgar sitting atop an electric pylon. Val scales the tower only to discover he's dead, which the doctor diagnoses that he died of dehydration. Which begs the question, why, if he wanted to kill himself, did he sit up there for 3 to 4 days? And what would make him sit up there when he's holding a rifle? If he wanted to kill himself, why not just shoot himself? And if something chased him up there, why didn't he just fire his gun? Then again, saying that, maybe he did take shots at them and he's just a lousy shot, like the Nostalgia Critic or Jappers. Back at the town, they get their first real clue as to what they're up against when Mindy discovers a snake-like creature clamped around the pipe under Val and Earl's truck. Later in the evening, while packing up, the doctor and his wife are both killed by the underground worms. The doctor eaten, and his wife gets buried alive while trying to escape in her car. Believe it or not, this is actually a horror comedy, and this is how they should be done. The monsters should be scary. Now, what I like about this scene is that the director is still teasing the audience. Now we know that they are snake-like creatures, we actually see the snakes. 3 of them. Back at the town, the whole community decide what to do, namely send Val and Earl out on horseback to get help from the nearest town, Bixby. They set out early next morning, discover the buried station wagon, and, seriously freaked, ride like hell. And it's sure Val and Earl have their first official encounter with the worms.
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.
Now, thinking at this point that they're simply snakes, Val shoots the snake, only this serves to piss off the worm and forces it to reveal itself.
Must be a million of them.
Nope, just one.
Which looks like a very large penis. I wish I had a very large penis.
Okay, the less said about that, the better. Val and Earl do the only thing they can do, and that's run, with the worm following, moving so fast that it blasts into a concrete wall, which kills it stone dead.
We killed it. Fuck you!
This is one of those sequences I can remember laughing out loud at when I watched this for the first time. It manages to balance the tension, the horror, and the humour perfectly. With the worm's dead body on display, the group were able to discover some things about it, namely that it doesn't have eyes, its size, and how it moves through the sand. And with the results of the seismic readings, Rhonda concludes that there are actually 3 more worms out there, and heading back to her truck, a worm approaches and forces them to seek refuge on a nearby rock. Unable to reach her truck, they decide to sit it out and wait for the worm to move on. They sit for a long time, bouncing around ideas of where the worms actually come from.
I vote for outer space.
No way these are local boys.
And discover that their little friend is still lurking around the rocks. Again, this is a great scene because it manages to pay off the previous scene like Edgar's death, and through natural storytelling reveals new information about the worms. Namely, in this instance, it's simply sitting there and listening.
That means we're stuck. That pisses me off.
The next morning, through small hints of romance, old Stumpy, as Val nicknames him, is still around.
Doesn't he have a home to go to?
And while the guys play who has the bigger penis,
We're gonna have to come up with some sort of plan. He's just gonna wait us to death.
Yeah, well, I was
Why don't we
thinking
just
if
make a run for it? We outran him yesterday.
Rhonda asks the simple question,
You guys know how to pole vault!
oh, clearly does. Coupled with the music, that is a brilliant moment. And the trio arrive at Rhonda's truck, and despite the worms' objections, they manage to make their escape.
Could somebody perhaps help me?
Why are there poles there? I don't know, and to be honest, I don't really care. It doesn't take away from my enjoyment of this scene in particular. From Earl's fall, right up to Val and Earl celebrating together between Rhonda's legs. It's just a perfect example of them getting it right. The right balance between the comedy and the horror. Back at perfection, only now with the full knowledge of what they're up against, Melvin pulls the sort of prank you'd expect from the comic relief in a Friday the 13th horror film.
I scared you, didn't I?
But unlike those horror films where the other characters just seem to go with it, these characters get legit pissed about it. And I like that. I've never understood in horror films when a character does something completely stupid and expects his friends to laugh. Another prank, though, signals the arrival of the worms, and through Val saving Mindy, another worm puts in an appearance. Melvin seeks refuge in a shack, Nesta his trailer, Mindy and Nancy in their house, while Val, Earl, Rhonda, Miguel and Walter seek refuge in the store, trying to keep as quiet as possible. This is all for nothing, though, when Walter's fridge starts up, which causes one worm to break through the floor and eat Walter.
And then Egg-chan gets eaten and takes the moment to wave goodbye to his friends.
It does look like he's doing that, I've only just noticed that. The survivors head for the roof, with Rhonda getting separated from the guys and tries to make her escape over store shelves. This doesn't work out too well for her, though. Fooled you. And with the residents safe for the time being, Bert and Heather are right back at their place and with no knowledge of what's been discovered, head into their basement and make a lot of noise. This is all the invitation the worms need, and one of them attacks Bert and Heather. Big mistake, especially with Bert and Heather having more firepower than the Terminator, John McClane and Rambo combined. After peppering the worm with as many bullets as inhumanly possible, they finally manage to put it down. I was always a fan of this sequence, mainly due to how well it's shot. It manages to mix the real life actors with a glove puppet and manages to make the cuts seamless. Seriously, check out the DVD special features to see how they managed to shoot this scene. The worms, though, get smarter and begin disrupting the foundations of the buildings around the town. First the store, then Nancy, and finally Nesta, who, living in a trailer, is easy pickings and the worms turn him over and nab him through a tyre. Realising they can't hold out forever as the worms are just going to tear the town out from under them, Val and Earl devise a plan to tow everyone out of the valley using the tractor and Earl's trailer, using Walter's small tractor as a diversion, although now Val and Earl can't decide who's going to be making the run to the cat.
Damn it, now listen to me. I'm older and I'm wiser.
Yeah, well, you're half right.
Despite losing, Val makes the decision anyway and gracefully makes his exit. Ooh, could have been worse, I suppose.
This is the day that you will always remember as the day that you...
But halfway to his destination, the tractor overturns and, only hearing Val's footsteps, the worms make a beeline for him. Great tension in this scene as Val stops running, which means the worms can't find him. The group try to get the worms' attention, making as much noise as possible, but it's not until Rhonda, using her head, or foot, that was terrible. I'm really sorry. Knocks out a pipe which causes water to drain from the tower, which draws the worms away and allows Val to hook up the cat and trailer and gather up the residents, making a final stop at Bert and Heather's, who are busy making some homemade bombs. Leaving perfection and heading towards the mountains, the worms pull another swerve and dig a trap, which causes the cat to tip over, and the worms start to bury the trailer. Using Bert's new bombs to put the fear of God into them, they steal their chance and seek refuge on some nearby rocks, only now they're completely trapped, which leads to the typical moment in any movie where everything seems lost, tempers flare, and the characters are at their lowest ebb.
Just back off, don't goddamn push me!
Yeah, this is a scene you'll see in many films, but again, thanks to the cast performance, it doesn't feel contrived or out of place. These are people who have just had victory snatched from them, and now they feel totally at a loss and they don't know what to do. The natural reaction is to lash out. All is not lost though, as the group decide to go fishing, with a rope and one of Bert's bombs. which the worm chugs down and explodes in a big ball of bloody orange goodness. Bloody goodness, which happens to shower all over our heroes. And with one worm left, old Stumpy himself, they employ the same trick and go fishing for Stumpy. Ooh, he's the smart one. The bomb hits the remaining sticks, which causes a massive explosion that makes the group scatter, with Val, Earl and Rhonda ending up off the rock and out in no man's land, where Stumpy, I love calling him that, reveals himself, and despite the rock-bound survivors attempting to draw him away, Val, knowing that this is actually the smart one, calls his bluff. And a really nice callback to the opening scene's gag of the stampede, Val throws the bomb behind the worm, which explodes and puts the worm into warp speed, sending it through the cliff face and down onto the rocks below, where it explodes into another ball of orange goodness. The final worm dead, Val and Earl leave perfection, Val and Rhonda end up together, happy endings all around. And that's Tremors. It's an incredibly fun horror comedy that manages the perfect balance between the two genres. Bacon and Ward are gold in their roles, and every character has a great moment and is used well. I highly recommend you check this out. And its sequel, Tremors 2, is well worth a watch as well. It doesn't have Kevin Bacon in it, but it does manage to continue the story in an almost logical way. It's by Tremors 3 really that things started to kind of fall apart. But if you want the unofficial word on that, check out Mike's shameful sequel review on Tremors 3. Shit.
Oh, just Shagger. She clearly wants you. So Val finally grows a pair and the two have a bit of a snog while the credits roll. See? That was fun, wasn't it, Welshy?
Yeah, good fun. Let's never do it again.
Yeah.
Mike J.
Say happy.
Happy.